All right, guys, welcome to the Daily Brew podcast. We got two DST athletes here, Javi Torres and Zane Morehouse, pitchers for the Guardians. Javi Torres, four-time Letterman, three-time All-District, ended up signing a free agent contract out of high school, pre-G All-American, preseason All-American, right? Preseason All-American. Zane, fellow JUCO Bandit, ended up going to UT, got to play in the World Series, several other things that we'll end up hitting. How are y'all doing so far today?
Doing great, doing great.
Doing pretty good.
How would you say y'all's first DST or your first DST offseason, right, Zane?
Yeah.
Is it and then your first as a pro?
First as a pro, yeah.
Yeah. So Zane, how was your first pro offseason here?
I've actually really loved it here. Vibes are great. Dudes are awesome. Everybody's got the same goal of coming in and getting better every day, and I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, what about you, Javi? What's the transition been like? Because I know that you've worked out here for a couple of years now in the past, going from San Antonio local, Judson High School. You knew about the facility for a long time. What's the transition from high school to a pro workout? What's the transition like?
Yeah, man. Since it's opened, I've been working out here. Me and Mo used to come in here and play ping pong when all this wasn't even built yet.
Yeah.
So, earlier it's been great. The line of strength coaches we've had have all been great, high energy. Obviously know what they're doing. So the DST program is great. That really got me to even be able to get into this position. And then obviously this year with the pro workout, I followed Cleveland stuff. And it's just a great place, very versatile. That lets you kind of handle your own career.
Yeah, awesome. So Javi, I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about like your process of getting to where you are today from high school to pro ball. We can kind of keep it brief, but basically, like I see here that you were committed to Texas State as a sophomore. What was like your thought process? What was your family discussions like? I know you played with the San Antonio Angels and summer ball. What was everything like to make you end up coming up with the decision that you wanted to sign a free agent contract rather than go to Texas State?
Man, it was pretty crazy. Even getting committed to Texas State. It all started. I was in seventh grade, and I went to a college workout with the older group for the Angels at Texas State. I mean, I had a really good day, and from there we kind of held communication. And then obviously as I matured and stuff got better, they extended an offer. Had a couple. Texas State just felt right. It felt like home. Wasn't too far from home.
Yeah, right down the street.
Yeah, right down the street, San Marcos. I think you're from there.
Yeah.
I just really love the coaches and the guys. So I ended up committing there to two-way.
You were committed as a two-way?
I was committed as a two-way.
Oh, I had no idea. What position did you play?
I played short.
Oh, dang, nice. I had no idea. Sorry.
I
Continue.
played short. I used to be able to swing it a little bit.
There you go.
A little bit.
You're gonna have to show me some clips later. Maybe we'll throw one in.
Yeah. So then as the years went on, my pitching ended up kind of overshadowing the hitting. And I have no problem with that. I never wanted to be a PO.
Yeah.
I always say you'd have to pay me to PO. And when that happened, thank God I got the opportunity. But, it was really, I wasn't going to go. I was going to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Draft didn't work out the way I wanted. And so I was going to go to school, play there, get drafted again.
Yeah.
But the final straw was I told my mom, Cleveland called, this and that with a deal. And she told me to take it. From talking to all the guys here, I had great resources, a lot of pros in here. So I kind of knew what it would be like, what I was walking into previously. Yeah. So I decided to take it.
Did you have a like an agent helping you out with anything in high school, or was it all you?
So yeah, I had a couple of agents start reaching out to me junior year.
Yeah.
Junior year, probably had agents reaching out to me, nothing serious. Senior year is when I picked an advisor. He's helping me out, kind of the middleman for all that stuff. And he's been great. Really helped me out too. And,
yeah. So whenever he is involved in this process, and what year did you graduate high school?
23.
23. So whenever you graduated and the draft was coming up, was he kind of talking to you? Were you already filling out like questionnaires and stuff like that for different pro orgs? And
so
what was that like?
During my senior year, it was fall going into my senior year. I got the opportunity to play with the Future Star Series.
Yeah.
On their highest level, we played at Fenway, and at the Yard Goats place.
Yeah.
I pitched there. I pitched really well. Flashed some velo, flashed some strikeout stuff. After that, my phone kind of blew up, which is when the pros really started to kind of pick up. Um, I went to 3 pro workouts here. Me and Trey would drive out there, pitch, and drive back. So I've been filling questionnaires out for a while.
Yeah.
So I knew the draft was an option. I just didn't know how likely it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. And then basically the draft you're saying didn't go quite as well as you wanted it to, but you still ended up by discussing with your agent, discussing with your mom and stuff like that, your family, you felt that was the best fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go as I wanted. I mean, we had a couple calls saying things were going to go differently. Obviously, it didn't.
Yeah.
But, I mean, everything happens for a reason. I ended up with Cleveland, which is a great pitching org, known for developing pitchers. And, I mean, yeah, my mom told me to pull the trigger, and I decided it, and I don't regret it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, Zane, what was your process like? First of all, where are you from?
I'm from outside of Waco, small town, Dawson, Texas.
Dawson, Texas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, close to Corsicana?
Yeah. It's like
Nice.
right in between Corsicana and Waco.
Yeah, I got you. So, what was like your high school experience like, and then you ended up going to Bossier Parish first, and then to Dyersburg State. So, what was like your transition from high school to JUCO? Were you a PO? Were you a position player too, or what?
I was a shortstop.
Oh,
I
okay.
signed as a shortstop.
Two athletes. Who says POs aren't athletes?
Yeah. But no, my high school was a real small school in the middle of nowhere. It's a real country town. Graduated with 27 kids in my class. Kind of gives you a little idea of how small it was. I didn't get my first like official offer until roughly halfway through my spring season in my senior year. So, college baseball was kind of it was a far stretch.
Yeah.
There for a little bit. I'd already started talking to like Army recruiters and stuff like that. I was going that route, but Bossier Parish gave me a call and they offered me. Ended up going there. I signed as a shortstop, switch hitting shortstop, and then they found out I could pitch a little bit.
Yeah.
I got there, my first bullpen, I topped out at like 93, 94, one of the hardest throwers there.
Really?
They're like, yeah, you're a PO now. So
did you know that you had that in the tank? Like, have you popped those numbers before?
Yeah, all summer long, like growing up, I've always, kind of thrown off the mound, but like, it was just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go up there and try to throw it as hard as I can and have some fun. But it was never really my true passion at first, and then. When I got to my freshman year of college, it was like, wow, this is different. Everything about it was different. I was right outside of Shreveport, which is a bigger town.
Yeah.
So that was way different from when I was back at home, and then I was a PO now, so it was weird making that transition.
Kind of far from home too, right?
Yeah, it was like
Shreveport. Probably like 6 hours,
something like that. Yeah. But no, the transition wasn't too bad. I felt very lazy because it was like. You don't do as much stuff, you can't take 5 hours in the cages and like do ground balls and all sorts of stuff like that. So it was a little tough transition. Things didn't shake out the way we kind of planned and hoped for at the first JUCO. And then I transferred to Dyersburg State the next year.
And where is that?
That's in Tennessee. It's like a little over an hour north of Memphis.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Nice.
Got up there, talked to the coach. He was like, yeah, you're going to two-way for me. And I was like, okay, cool. Like
get back to it.
Yeah, I had the dream alive still.
Yeah.
But I was up to 98 in the spring at Bossier. And then I got there and I threw my first couple of bullpens. And he was like, yeah, you're not touching a bat for me again. So it was tough again. It was hard news. But then I like fully just like kind of leaned into being a PO. And I was like, all right, like, decision was made for me, so it's time to just like lean into it and fully embrace it. And first year at Dyersburg, that was a COVID year, so it got shut short. Season got cut short, and I kind of sucked.
Were you talking to anybody at that time? Because I went through the same thing. I know me and you've had this conversation a little bit beforehand, but like I was a 3-year JUCO player. My second year, I was killing it, and I was having like the best year of my life, and I was talking to all these schools, and literally, June comes around, then July comes around, and everybody's talking to me, and they're like, just wait for the draft, just wait for the draft, just wait for the draft. Draft gets put back like gets cut down to 5 rounds,
Mhm.
and then everybody's like, "Well, see ya,"
Yeah.
and didn't talk to anybody anymore again. So like, did something similar kind of happen to you?
Yeah, so I actually talked to Vandy a little bit because they're just right up the road. They watched me throw a couple of times because we played there in Memphis, and
Yeah,
then I talked to A&M a little bit and a couple other schools. But as soon as the COVID thing kind of happened, it was like they were supposed to come watch me pitch. Like my next outing was at midweek, and then COVID happened, got shut down, and I
yeah.
didn't hear back from any of those guys.
Dang,
But
I'm not the only person
no,
then.
not at all.
Yeah,
But the next year I came back. I was a starter. I was oof. I started pretty much the entire year. There's a couple of bullpen appearances, but
yeah,
ended up doing really well. I was top 5 in 4 or 5 different pitching categories in JUCO.
yeah,
Ended up getting second team All American, and then that's when I started getting a lot of D1 offers.
yeah. Bigger looks.
Yeah, like I talked to Tennessee there for a little bit. Talked to Oklahoma, TCU, talked to A&M again, and then Texas came in and they offered me. And
Yeah,
growing up, I was always a real big Texas fan. It was right up the road. It was like my dream school. And then when they decided to come in and offer me, like I had to take it. Like
yeah,
I had a little bit of draft interest, but I was like, nah, I'm going to Texas. That's it's been my dream school since I was a kid. So I went and decided, talked it over a lot with my dad and my mom, and they're like, I mean, it's the opportunity of a lifetime that you've always wanted since you were a little kid, so
yeah.
might as well. So that's what we ended up doing.
And so you were kind of talking about earlier, like you were almost like on the army recruiting route, like in
Mhm.
high school. So was like playing pro ball, was that always like a dream for you? And you were just kind of thinking like, oh, never mind, like let's get back to reality. Army might be better suit, or what was the thought process there?
Yeah, no, I mean it's every kid's dream, especially ones that play baseball. I've always wanted to
Yeah,
be a big leaguer. Like ever since I was in what was it? I'd say kindergarten. I had a set plan of what I was gonna do. I was gonna go play for the University of Texas. I was gonna play there, and then get drafted by the Yankees. That
yeah,
was my team growing up. So I had that dream the entire time, and then it was like towards the end of high school, it was like opportunities are running real thin. Like
yeah.
not getting a lot of interest. So that's when I wanted to go the other way because my grandpa was in the Navy,
Uh-huh.
and so he was like I wouldn't trade it for the world. So that's when I started looking into all that.
Wow, awesome. Well, I'm glad that everything ended up going the
Yeah.
the other route. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
and you're getting the opportunity to live out your dream and every single day, and I think that that's really cool. I want to ask both of you guys this question, and then I'll give you time each to answer. But what do you think? Like, it might be a little bit different for you than it is for him, but what do you think the like strength and conditioning? What do you think the weight room? Or what do you even think the work ethic is like differently that you can like what's some advice that you could give a little kid, that a high school kid even, that's saying, hey man, I want to play pro ball. What is the work ethic like? What is the determination like? How do you gain success? Like how do you achieve this dream? What would be like something like simple that you would kind of use to encourage somebody like that? What do you think, Javi?
Yeah, I mean, when I was little, obviously it's always a dream. But when it really became a reality, I kind of switched gears once I got in here.
Yeah.
My freshman year, I walked in here at a buck 35,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of natural talent, but I had to work for most of my skill. So once I got in the weight room, at the time we had DK.
Mm-hmm.
He helped me out with what to eat, what not to eat, and then obviously I was hitting the weights hard for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
So I went from 135 my freshman year to going into sophomore year at 185
Wow.
of just I was eating
Grinding.
5,000 calories a day,
Yeah.
lifting 6 days a week. So I was work. You have to work your butt off. I mean, everybody tells you like you have to work hard, but you don't really realize it until you're doing it every day.
Yeah.
And then you have to fall in love with the grind.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it every day as damn, I have to go lift, or
Yeah.
now I have to go take grounders, you're not gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you stop loving the grind and loving the game, you have no shot.
Yeah. That's awesome. What do you think, Zane?
Um, the way I did it growing up was I always compared myself to the best in the world. The
Yeah.
best in the world is the major leaguers that are there right there. So
Yeah.
the best way to go about it, in my opinion, and like what's worked out a lot with me, is compare myself to the guys that are very successful doing it right now. When
For
you
sure.
do that, then it's like you're working harder, you're pushing yourself to the brink, you know.
Mhm.
And kind of like he said, you got to fall in love with the grind. Like it's a grind.
Yeah.
One thing that my dad taught me at a really young age that really helped out a lot was think of the absolute worst thing you hate about baseball.
Mm.
If you can learn to love that and be okay with doing that every day, everything else just comes so much easier. And then, you turn what would be like a job or something
Yeah.
like that into, I mean, it's your
A
passion.
passion.
It's
Yeah.
your love, and it's not, oh, I have to go do this. It's I get to go do this.
Yeah.
And just constantly working harder because there's somebody out there that's going to be working just as hard, if not a little bit harder. So trying to push yourself and like always have that mindset
Yeah.
really helps out a lot.
My dad, I think, instilled like the hard work, the loyalty to whatever you're doing, whether that's loyalty to your family, whether that's loyalty to your faith or your job or whatever. Like I think that was like one of the values that was instilled in me in a young age. That if you're not loyal to something, it's not going to pay you back. And to your topic of saying like there's always somebody else that's working harder, my dad would always say like uh, there's a if you think that you're good, there's probably a 15-year-old kid in the Dominican or Puerto Rico that's doing better than you. So that wants it more, And I always kind of took that to heart because I was like, dang, you're right. Like there's people. Baseball is all over the world.
Oh yeah.
All over the world, and we take for granted like that we have this facility, that we have these resources, that you were even able to have a meal plan. You know what I mean? And there are kids around the world that are just like literally like taking grinding to another, a whole nother level, and they want it bad. And so that's not to say that to discourage anybody that's like, oh, there's going to be somebody that's always better than me. That should be used as fuel.
Exactly.
In my opinion, it's like, you know what, like we get these resources, we get this meal plan, we get this weight room, and that could just encourage the grind even more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that that's really cool, and I think that another thing that's kind of interesting to me, which you might be able to attest to this, and Javi, I think that you might have a little different perspective on it, but I was actually talking to my dad, and I've had the same conversation with my brother before, but I always kind of like tell kids whenever it comes to the recruiting process, hard work is everything, right? You got to work your butt off, you got to do this, you got to do that. But it's like if you're not going somewhere where you're wanted, that hard work is almost nothing. Because I've had that experience throughout my college career where it was like I don't think that I could have ever worked hard enough to earn a spot in the place where I was at.
Yeah.
But I was also fortunate enough to play at other places where I did work my butt off. I did work so hard, and the coaches did believe in me, and it paid off more than I could ever ask for. You know what I mean? So, like, how do you feel your different college experiences were like? And how do you think that the coach kind of like respected you and like wanted you and wanted your work ethic? And then do you think that like I don't know what happened at Bossier, and like we don't need to talk bad about any colleges or anything like that, but do you think that like you felt more wanted at Dyersburg, or like do you feel like that whenever you're getting that recruiting from UT, do you feel like that you were wanted there? And obviously you were wanted enough because you got a scholarship to play there. But I just feel like the for me personally, I'm not discrediting hard work or grind or anything like whatsoever. You got to have those qualities to be successful, but it's also you got to be wanted. You got to be wanted by the coach. You got to be wanted by your teammates. You got to have these qualities to continue to play this game for a long time. And that's just my personal opinion. But what do you think?
I'd agree a lot. Obviously, you got to work hard. If you don't work hard, somebody else is doing it.
Yeah, you don't get an opportunity if you don't work hard.
You'll never get the opportunity. Once you get the opportunity, though, one of the biggest things that I learned through the recruiting process and going to a couple of different schools is you have to be wanted, like you said. If you're working hard and like the coaches just don't like you for whatever reason, or your teammates don't like you, and it builds like bad team chemistry, like you're not going to get the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
So definitely going to a place that the coaches really want you, they recognize you work hard and they accept that and they really want that it's huge.
Yeah. I would agree. I would say that, like my brother went to the same to Hill Junior College. I went to Hill Junior College. I had already had a previous relationship with the coach, and I felt like that there was times where my third year, and I was like so jacked up in my own head,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like so in my own space because I had like UNC Charlotte talking to me, I had FAU talking to me, I had all these schools talking to me. The previous year, COVID happens, boom,
Mm-hmm.
I go my third year and I'm like crap in the bed pretty much, and I'm batting 100, and my coach is still encouraging me and still giving me opportunities,
Yeah.
and I dug myself out of that, and I ended up doing good. But
Mm-hmm.
like, would I have got those opportunities if I didn't have a relationship with the coach, or
Yeah.
if I wasn't on a scholarship or something? In my opinion, probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was because I went to a school, and it was because they had faith in me, and it was because I had this relationship, and because I chose to go somewhere I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
That coach was invested in me just as much as I was invested in him, and I think that was like what I think that's quality. People look at the name,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't look at the desire.
Yeah.
How much do they desire you?
Yeah.
It's like if you get desired, you could go over 30 and they're still gonna give you a
Yep.
shot. But if you're not, you can go over 30 and never play again.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
No, yeah, that's that goes back to it just reminds me that when you're at a place and the coaches really want you and they enjoy you there and the team loves you there. The extra thing that just like kind of sets you apart a little bit is the hard work. Like if
Yeah,
the coaches
hundred
constantly see
percent.
you working hard and hustling everywhere, putting in all the
Yeah,
effort, spending extra time at the field,
and then you
it
add that they
yeah,
invested in you on top of that.
yeah, it just gives you
Yeah,
that much more of a leg up.
for sure, for sure. What do you think, Javi? I mean, I know that I mean, obviously, the grind that you went through, the hard work that you went through to get to the position you are today is a testament in itself. And I mean, you've already explained that. I've heard that from other people. I've heard that same story that you were, a buck 30 when you walked in here.
Yeah.
And that's hard to believe looking at you now because I mean,
No.
I know that you're an athlete, you're a professional baseball player, you're a professional athlete. But, like what do you think? I know that you obviously had to be desired by Texas State. You obviously had to be desired by the Guardians. You obviously are desired now, and you're continuously getting to prove yourself. What do you think about all that?
I mean, I've been blessed to be wanted
Yeah,
in certain areas of my life, but the way I always thought about it was work so hard that nobody had a reason not to want you.
100%, man.
So
That's good stuff.
everything I did, I tried to be the best at everything I do.
Yeah.
Whether it was pitching, whether it was hitting or fielding,
Mhm.
I took pride in all of it.
Yeah.
Because there's, like you said, there's always somebody better. But I want to show them that there's going to be nobody better than me
Yeah.
to go to your program and help you out.
Yeah, that's
So that's
awesome.
the way I thought about it. And also, I mean, you have a great support system. I mean, everybody in here believed in me.
Yeah.
My parents back home gave me a leash and believed in me. And I mean, it's your career. So the way you think about it and go about your work is kind of the result you're going to get. And obviously, there's circumstances that you can't control, like
Yeah,
y'all's
for sure.
situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, stuff just happens. But I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be wanted everywhere that I have a chance to play at. Even with
Yeah.
Cleveland, I mean, signing a free agent deal is not very heard of out of high school.
Hmm.
But I bet on myself, and I'm gonna go show them why they want me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I think that that's like a great way to put it. It's, you know, you're getting to work. You first of all, you're getting, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
getting to work so hard that you earn that desire. You
Yeah.
earn that want, which is huge. I mean, that's awesome. And I think for me, I got caught up in the name. I got caught up in other stuff, and I think that that's the same. I can attest to so many players that I played with where it's like I wish that I would have uh, chose somewhere that it was, you know, more opportunity for me, more opportunity where the coach was invested in me. And I think that that's something I wanted to talk about just because I feel like it's valuable for young players to hear because, it doesn't it in my opinion, if you love the game, it really doesn't matter what level you play at. If you love the game, you go somewhere where you're wanted, you go somewhere where you're desired, you go somewhere and work your tail off. Good things are going to happen, no matter what.
Yeah.
100%. Um, Javi, I just because I'm not like familiar with this process, but um, whenever you whenever you signed, what was the immediate next step? Because did you have like a little short season, short camp, anything like that? What happened whenever you
For
reported? Because I remember you
okay.
being up here this summer for a brief time. I literally met you like 3 times, I
Yeah.
would say, and then you were gone, and then you came back, and so I was like, oh, what happened there? So I just don't know what happens.
No, so basically, I got a call 5 minutes after the draft, letting me know what the offer was gonna be.
Yeah.
Talked it over, agent, family, decided to go do it. Flew me out there. They gave me 3 days, 3 or 4 days. Pack your stuff. Flew out there to AZ. Um, we went through about a week of just physicals and tests, and I mean that's with every work. Yeah, you got to do that. Make sure you're healthy and stuff.
When was this? Was this June, July?
July,
July.
about middle of July.
Yeah.
And then so once you get cleared from that, you get to start. And since I took a deload week to kind of give myself a break off of high school season, workouts, bullpens for teams, and this and that, they have to build you back up. So they took about 2 to 3 weeks on a build up phase. So that's why instead of going and playing ACL, I ended up sitting out of ACL, ramping up, throwing pens, lives until I was ready to throw in game, which was in instructs.
Nice.
I had 4 outings in instructs.
Yeah. And then like how would you say that went for you?
That went really good for me. First outing, first pro outing ever. Obviously amped up, you're nervous.
Yeah, for sure.
I was on caffeine too. Like I'm jumping around the pen, and I go out and one of my first hitters is G-Man Choi.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched this guy on TV in the World Series. So I'm a little bit amped, and I try to pitch before my defense is ready, and I see him standing in the box like this. I'm like, what's going on? I turn around, my defense is not ready. I was like, oh man. So I get off, wait for them.
On 200 milligrams of caffeine, you're like, let's go.
But no, the outing went really good for me. I was sitting 94, 95.
Yeah.
I ended up going like 2 innings, allowing 1 hit, and I mean that was kind of the same thing for me all of instructs. So I thought I showed Cleveland, the org, they made the right choice signing me, and now that hopefully we get up there spring training and I continue to pitch well.
Heck yeah, man. And I want to talk to you, Zane, a little bit about, obviously I would feel dumb if we didn't talk about the World Series. So walk me through that season. I mean, it can be brief on that season. I really want to spend time on regional, super regional, World Series, but walk me through that team chemistry, through that team atmosphere, the whole process, and then like what was your mentality? What did you take with you to be successful in those environments?
Yeah, so beginning of the year we started out like it was like 12-0 or something like that. Finally lost our first game. We were ranked number 1. Team kind of we didn't do so hot. Had some injuries, had some other stuff going on, and
Texas State.
Yeah, we lost one of the midweeks at Texas State.
Yeah,
that was a tough one, but kind of just the team really kind of came together and gelled, and like team chemistry kind of took over, and then everybody was playing for each other. It was for the next guy. It wasn't selfish baseball. And
yeah, that's awesome.
It allowed us to get back on the right track. We ended up going to the Big 12 tournament, lost to Oklahoma in the championship game. And then after that, we were fortunate enough to host a regional, and it was really cool. The dish was packed, it was super loud, had all the extra stands brought in. It was
awesome.
An amazing atmosphere. And then we ended up sweeping. I believe we swept that, and then we went to ECU for the super regionals.
Yeah,
and
I was watching those games.
That was crazy. It was definitely a roller coaster for emotionally speaking.
Yeah, ECU was like the craziest environment I've ever been in. At a baseball field.
Oh yeah, no,
it was insane.
It was crazy. Got guys hanging over the fence in the outfield.
Yeah, just chirping them the whole time.
Yeah. Just letting you have it.
Yeah, they're awesome though. Their fans are awesome.
It was a great time. It was a rough series, a lot of ups and downs. Went all the way to game 3, a lot of rainouts, a lot of delays, stuff like that. So the last game when we finally won, it was super late. Like everybody already had left, and I don't think we got to the hotel until like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Just long day. And then we had that next week to kind of prepare, get ready for the World Series, and that was something else, man. Like, just the environment, just everything. Like we had a little parade. We got to do some stuff with kids, hotels, the food, everything was just crazy. Never experienced it before. the little run we had at the World Series was rough. We went 2-0.
Mm,
Lost first one we lost to Notre Dame, game one. That was a tough blow. After that we played A&M, ended up losing to them too. That
yeah,
one was really tough, but getting to pitch in that environment was something crazy. Like the entire stadium was packed. Texas A&M in the World Series, like
yeah. Did you get to pitch that
everybody.
game?
I did. I ended up throwing in the eighth inning.
Yeah,
I did all right. I was up to 98. I was like 95, 98. Um, Ended up giving up like 2 hits, I believe. Gave up 1 run. So, you know, depends on how you decide to what's a good outing or not.
yeah,
But just getting to throw in front of that many fans, and it was crazy. It was
yeah.
special.
Well, I mean, just getting to be there in that environment, that's something that you can carry for the rest of your life. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
obviously 2 and out's not what you want to happen, but
yeah.
getting to actually say that you played in the College World Series, getting to
Mm,
say that you pitched, especially against A&M, which is
yep.
the longest rivalry in history
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably in Texas schools,
Yep.
right? And you never get to play them, and so now you playing them, and that had to be pretty cool, man. And what do you think that, like, did you get to pitch in the Super at all?
I threw 1 or 2 innings in the supers.
Yeah. So what do you think that, like, what would be some advice that you have of, like, what's the mentality, what's the gear shift that happens in your mind to be able to prepare you for such a big spot?
So I go about it a couple of different ways. When I'm first getting there, just mentally preparing myself, like, okay, like it's me versus the hitter. Like I gotta like what I usually do is I do it not just for myself, but the other 8 guys on the field, and then
Yeah.
everybody in the dugout, and then for the guys that didn't get to travel, that's at home watching it on TV. Doing it, trying to really do it for all those guys instead of making it for myself. It kind
Yeah,
of
you're doing it for somebody else rather than just for you.
yeah,
You're doing it for the team.
it kind of helps take a little bit of the pressure off, and you got 7 guys standing behind you that's going to help make plays and
Yeah, for sure.
help you out. So that definitely having that mentality definitely helps out a lot.
Mhm.
And then on top of it, I mean, it's a game.
Yeah.
It's a child's game that you're getting to play at the highest level for college for sure, but just not making it bigger than it is. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big spot. Could be a lot of pressure. A lot of fans. Like it's an important game, but like it's a game.
Yeah.
Gotta have fun with it. If you're not having fun with it, what's the point?
Yeah. I was actually talking to my brother about this the other day. It was like I listened to one of my buddies on the Blueprint podcast, shout out them, and Jim in Houston, and then my one of my best friends at U of H, Alex Lopez. He was talking about getting in that flow state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about these 5 pillars of hitting from some famous hitting coach or whatever. But the bottom line of the story is, like, you know, if he's hitting those 5 pillars, all of a sudden he gets in that flow state, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't really explain a flow state to a non-athlete or somebody else, but, like, we all know what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 of us right here knows what it feels like to just be able to, like, it's just easy.
Yeah.
You throw, you catch, you hit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And whenever he was talking about he gets in that flow state, like, you know, he feels like he can make adjustments faster. He feels like
Mm-hmm.
that he can, uh, he can hit, he can throw, he can catch. It's all easy. He's not having to think about anything. He's just going, going, going. And I think the biggest thing to, obviously, you guys are pros, which y'all can do because y'all are obviously in this organization, is you have to be able to minimize how high the high is and how
Mm-hmm.
low the low is, right?
Oh yeah.
And if you're buying into that low or you're buying into that high, you're toast.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yep.
that's what I think. I mean, it's being able to stay as even keel as possible throughout this process. And the guys that are staying even, are the guys that probably play the longest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's pretty cool. That's a good adjustment to make on your part for, you know, that's your adjustment, is playing for your team to be
Yeah.
able to stay level headed. And I think that's like a pretty good piece of advice for young kids to take with them. It's like, the game is a game,
Mm-hmm.
and the game is not just for you. It's for
Yeah.
everybody. That's pretty cool. How did you get this nickname, man? How'd you get the Nightmare at Texas?
So
Tell me about it.
it was my first year there. It was in the spring. We were
Yeah.
playing some inter squads right before the season kicked off, and
Yeah.
I was throwing. I threw. I did pretty solid. Came in. I went in and talked to Troy Tulowitzki. He was one of our coaches there
Yeah.
at the time, and I was going in there. Went in there, got advice, what he saw, stuff like that all the time, just bullshitting with him. And I was talking to him, and he looked at me and he was like, you're an absolute nightmare to hit off of sometimes. And he was like, you know what? That's your nickname from now on. And it just kind of stuck and grew.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
He actually, another thing he did was he picked my walkout song.
Yeah.
From the bullpen. Yeah.
What'd you get?
Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Javi, what do you think your piece of advice would be for like being able to stay in that flow state, being able to stay even? Because I mean, you're just saying base a guy who's just been in the World Series first AB. Like, what was obviously you were amped up, but you can be amped up and you can still have control.
Yeah.
So, and obviously you did. How do you think that happened? How do you think that you're able to maintain control?
I mean, for me, I try not to make any moment bigger than it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm throwing to him. Hitting's hard.
Yeah.
Hitting is real hard. I know from doing it.
It sucks.
So that's why we don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But so I mean, you just don't make it easier for them. I mean, you just do what you trust your work.
Mm.
You work on stuff here all off season, every practice. You work on what you're about to go do in the game.
Yeah.
In the game, it should become second nature. So you throw a ball at him. I mean, my mom used to always say, "It's you and the catcher."
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you just dial in on the catcher, and just do what you can do.
Yeah, it's like creating that tunnel vision for yourself.
Yeah,
where and then it sounds like that's like the flow state for you. So you're just getting into that state of mind where it's just you and the catcher, it's just you versus the hitter, one of the two. And I mean, I've been in situations where I literally feel like I'm seeing black on the edges, and it's just right here in this tunnel. And I mean, whenever I was playing my best, I feel like that's where my head was at most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know about him, but when I'm pitching, I can't hear a thing.
Yeah.
No fans, nothing chirping. I mean, it's just you and you on the mound.
Yeah.
You?
I agree. It's growing up, my dad loved the movie For Love of the Game.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he's when he's trying to get into that flow state, he's like, clear the mechanism.
Yeah.
And it's that tunnel vision, and everything kind of goes black. Everything kind of outside of just right there, it's like everything just kind of fades away. And
yeah.
That's where I get.
Yeah, a lot easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it takes a lot of practice.
There's a reason why y'all are pro athletes and a reason why y'all can do that so quickly and on command. So, what would you like? Obviously, both of y'all's routes to pro ball were a lot different. What would you recommend? Like, I don't think that there's a single route, but what would you recommend is like the most important piece of advice that you could give for even getting to pro ball?
I think you just take it day by day as it comes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I try to do. I'd come in here, work out. I mean, when you're thinking about the future, you're thinking about the past, you're not living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you just take it day by day. Opportunities will present itself. I mean, you respect the game, play the game the right way, the game will reward you. But I think obviously it's up to you. I mean, if you feel you need to go to college and you think that's what's best for your career, then you go to college. Me talking to the guys, I felt I was ready, and I think pro ball would have been more beneficial to me than going to college. And that's the route I took.
For sure.
Like you said, everybody's route's different. And like one thing that my dad used to tell me growing up all the time, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is anything worth doing and doing right isn't easy.
Yeah.
So it's like just constantly staying true to yourself, staying true to working hard and going where you want to go, like going somewhere that you're going to get the opportunity to play. And one of the biggest things that I learned, took me a really long time, but everybody gets told that they're done at some point in time. And the best way that I have learned to go about it is, what do I do each day to get me one more day at the end of the year?
Yeah.
So like whatever I do today, it either deducts a year or a day, or it adds a day at the end of my career.
Yeah.
So it's like every day, it's like, all right, I need
you got to earn the day.
Yeah.
Nice. How would you say that you deal with like the setbacks? Do you have like like injury happens, life happens, whatever, like you get a phone call from a manager saying you're going to get traded. You do, or, in college, like you get told that you're not getting to start anymore. What would you do? Like, because for me, I feel like that this was, one of my downfalls in the game is like, I didn't know how to properly manage those setbacks because, in my opinion, the setbacks were like life changing. It's like I'm sick, I'm toast. I have to take a test instead of get to practice. Coach hates me, like stuff like that. Which there were times in my career where I was like, again, on a high, and I was like, oh, it doesn't matter what I do. Nobody's gonna take this spot. And then there was also times where it was I literally have no other option other than to be done playing today because I just lost it. And it was for me. I ended up finding, I've always been religious and I've always had a relationship with Christ, but I feel like that um, for me personally, it took a lot of growth throughout those 5 years of college baseball to really realize how to give the game up to God and how to give my identity up to I'm not just a baseball player. Uh, I'm me. So it took a long time for me to realize that, and I think that it's us being, you know, you're the youngest guy here, but us being 20-year-old kids, and you know, in life, it's like it's a constant journey. We're not going to ever find the truest answer, and we're not going to have life figured out. But like, what has worked for you or you guys uh, dealing with those negatives, dealing with those setbacks? Like how did you say that you managed that?
So one thing that took me a really long time to really start to understand and start to be able to use in everyday life is being able to compartmentalize everything.
Okay.
Like what I do now, which I didn't do in the beginning, was baseball's at the baseball field. Personal life's over here. I
Yeah.
never let the two intertwine or like affect each other. If I have a bad outing, I'm not gonna go home and take it out on my girlfriend and like have a
Yeah.
bad attitude or something like that. And if anything happens outside of the field, as soon as I get to the field or to the facility or whatever, like I leave it at the door.
Yeah.
And then it's, I just flip a switch in my mind and it's like, okay, now it's time to train. Now it's time to get better. And, when it comes to like injuries and stuff like that, like I've had a couple, always relying back on your work, always
Mm-hmm.
working hard. I mean, there's gratification that you get in putting in the work every day. And
Yeah.
even if you're in a slump or you're not doing good or something like that, knowing that you show up to the field every day and you give it your all and you're constantly working hard, it's a big stress reliever. It takes a lot of weight off your shoulders.
Yeah. That's awesome. What about you, Javi?
Me, as far as injuries, setback wise, I've never really had any. Just some ache and pain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, and I'm still doing it, but it took me a long time to leave my emotions out of the game
Yeah.
and to not have them transfer over. Baseball has always been meditative to me. So if I was having a bad day, I go to the field, my mood instantly switches.
Yeah.
I love being there. I love getting the opportunity to be there. Now, if I sucked at the field, I used to take it home. I'd
Mm-hmm.
be pissed all that night. I might wake up the next morning still mad.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, obviously, I'm 16, 17-year-old kid. I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, you're going to let it happen. But I got to a point where I give myself an hour.
Mm.
I do good. I ride the high for an hour. After that, it's back to work. It's a new day.
Yeah.
I do bad. I give myself an hour. Kind of feel bad about yourself. Kind of get mad at yourself, and then you forget it.
Yeah.
Baseball's real short term. You can't think about how good you're doing or how bad you're doing because you're doing good and you're riding it. Baseball humble you real quick.
Yeah. It's like 70% failure.
Yeah.
The 30% feels great.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, if you're doing bad and you're feeling sorry for yourself every day, it's just going to continue happening because you're not
For
doing
sure.
anything to get out of it. But yeah, I just think it's real important to kind of differentiate between the two and kind of, like you said, stay even kill.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I got one last question for you guys. Um, what does it mean to you? Which obviously I feel like that we've kind of like answered this already, but what does it mean to you to be a pro?
I mean, honestly, it means the world to me. I've had a plan since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I was playing football all up until then, and my parents made me choose
Mm-hmm.
football or baseball, and I loved football.
Yeah.
Everything about it, hitting, running, it was
Mhm.
fun. And baseball at that time, you're just if you don't know the game, you feel like you're just standing there for
Yeah, for sure.
90% of the game.
For sure.
So I chose baseball just based on statistics and my likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, everybody always told me. I had a couple teachers. What do you want to be when you grow up? Professional baseball player.
Yeah.
Well, hey, pick something more realistic. And
Yeah.
to me, that was realistic.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was 9 years old going to travel baseball, and first ever tryout for a travel baseball team.
Mm.
I go, I try out, and then I finish whatever. I think I did great.
Yeah.
My parents go talk to the coach. They told my mom he will never play competitive baseball. He just doesn't have it in him.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Obviously,
look at him now.
Obviously, my mom let him hear it. And
Yeah.
then,
Your mom's awesome too, by the way.
oh yeah, I
She's
mean,
always got your back.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my parents that, they work 2 jobs each at a time.
Yeah.
Just to support us and, travel everywhere. Mo honestly changed my life. I met him when I was 13.
Yeah.
Just the knowledge he has and just gave me so many resources to kind of help me fulfill that dream. But I mean, it's never been a dream to me. I always had a plan A.
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan B? What happens if it doesn't work out? I never had one.
Yeah.
So once I got the opportunity, I took it, and I love every day of it.
For sure, man. Awesome. What about you, Zane?
I mean, it's everything, It was a childhood dream turned reality, and I don't know, man. It's so amazing, like being able to have the opportunity to get to play pro ball and live out, my dream as a kid, and getting to do what so many other people want to do, and just either don't make it or can't do it. It's crazy. Um, I don't know. It's like it's hard to put into words.
Yeah.
The road I had was really long, really hard. A lot of ups, a lot of downs.
Yeah.
I'd probably say more downs than ups. So just being able to stay with it, stay true to myself, and be able to persevere out of everything is an awesome feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I thank you guys for being here. I know that you guys already know this, but you had the support of everybody up here. We wish you nothing but the best of luck whenever you report this weekend. Obviously, we hope to see you guys on TV and continue to just be killing it in y'all's careers. And thank you guys for talking and working so hard and being diligent in what you guys do and handling yourself like pros.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cool.